Good day, Brother Planet listeners. Today I'm joined by Melissa from the band Infinitum. How are you today, Melissa?
I'm very well, thank you. How about you?
Good. Where are you joining us from?
I'm currently in Denmark where I live.
Oh, you are. Oh, nice. And how's the weather there?
The weather is great. Just a little bit cold, but we had a sunny day.
Nice, nice. And we're here to talk about your new project. And I want to know, how did this project develop and how did you get involved?
So it started a while ago. Actually, the other day I was going through my files and I realized that I was already working on it in 2016. I was like, God, really? But it changed a lot since the moment I started and now, because the idea first was okay, I just want to do solo project, a few songs, an EP, release it, and we see what happens. And I had a few ideas of songs, and it was not really ambitious. And then I got to meet Oliver Phillips, who is producer, who's worked, for example, for with Delane or Look at the Reader's Rhapsody, and we got to discuss and really at some point, you invest a lot of time and energy, and we found the right song, right sound for the band, and at some point I really thought, okay, I don't want it to be just a studio project. I want to go live with it, and I want to have bandmates and not just hired guns. And this is how the other members joined. I knew Nick from Serenity because we played together with the band, and he knew Adrian, the guitar player, and he said, I know this brilliant guitar player. I want to introduce him to you, and then he joined the band right after. And I was on tour with the War Kings as a guest vocalist, and we were opening for Amaranth and Follow the Cipher, and this is how I got to know Jonas, the bass
Ah.
player of Ad Infinitum. And I talked to him about the project, and he said, "Yeah, of course." And this is how the band was created.
Ah, okay. I was I'm acquaintances with Jonas, so I was curious as how you met him and knew him. He can be quite the character.
Yeah, he is. He's the nicest person, and he was a great support for me on tour when, sometimes you get a little bit of blues, and he's the nicest person ever.
Yeah, he is. He is. And so you guys all came together and did you write the music together and how did that happen?
Yes, some of the music we wrote together. When um, I actually started the writing process a while ago, and I released "I Am the Storm" in 2018 because of the crowdfunding campaign, and also because I wanted to contact some labels and see if they were interested. And but especially for the crowdfunding campaign, I needed to have some sound out, to so people would know what they would what they were expecting and what they were
Mm-hmm.
paying for. Because when you tell people, yeah, I'm releasing an album, would you like to pre-order it like 2 years before it's released? They're like, yeah, what are you doing? So for this reason I thought, okay, we have to release something good musically but also visually, and so this is how the first single was released. And then I already had some songs written, but when the guys joined the band, we worked together for with the songwriting. And some of the ideas I already had before, but for example, take "Marching on Versailles" was originally an idea of Nick, and he sent me the instrumental, and then I worked on the vocals. And if you take "Tell Me Why," which is the last song of the album, it started by with an idea of Jonas, worked on it, Adrian worked on it, I worked on it. We sent it to the producer. So it was teamwork, let's say, for most of the album. And then we all recorded at some point together, and so everyone had the opportunity to give his own touch to the album.
So I have to say the last song you mentioned, the very last song in the album is one of my favorites. I love that song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
I love the orchestration, the how it comes together, and it just has a real fluid. and uplifting sound to it.
Oh, nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then so I just got to ask. You probably been asked this all day. How did you guys come up with the name for the band?
Wow. No, actually, today you're the first one asking me this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, um, well, the process of finding a name took forever because you want to find something cool, but not too kitsch, something catchy,
Yeah.
something that hasn't been done before, and actually it has been done before, but it was a real nightmare. And I at some point I even created a WhatsApp group with some friends of mine, and I said, okay, throw all your ideas. and and we came to this point where we had to announce the project, and we still didn't have a name like one week before. And and um and I got back to one of the first ideas I had, um, which was Ad Infinitum, because there is this song by Camelot called March of Mephisto, and at the beginning you have this speech in Latin, and
Mm-hmm.
the very last words are Ad Infinitum, and I always found like this is so powerful, this whole speech, and then these words Ad Infinitum, and I thought, yeah, let's take this, and it was a hard decision because there was another band from, but not active anymore, who had this name but complete different genre. And then we said, but I could feel like this name was the one. And so I said, okay, let's go for it.
I like that. That's a cool story.
Thank you.
No, it really is. I mean, because it obviously goes to one of your influences, which we talked about, which was Camelot.
Yeah, yeah. I really love this band, and it's they helped me finding the direction I wanted to take
Yeah.
when we had to decide how the band. The first demo didn't sound like this at all. I was at the time listening to Hailstorm a lot, and and I was oh, this is so badass. I want to do something like this, and I did some first demos with it that and didn't fit at all. And then we were discussing with Oliver, and he said, "What really fits your voice, and what do you like to sing, and how what do you think would work for you, and not what you like to listen, but what you like to sing." And then I thought, but this is obvious. Actually, all these years I've been singing Camelot and feeling confident when singing their songs, and also Delane, and also some Nightwish or Within Temptation. So just realizing, okay, this is something that I song. So why not going into that direction and creating something that's already been done, but you know, some with some symphonic elements or metal elements, and yeah, this helped me a lot. So I like to say that the album is not really like a typical concept album. I would not call it a concept album, to be honest, because my idea of a concept album is more like you go through a story from song number 1 to song number whatever 10, and what we did with this album is that we tried to give it an atmosphere, because obviously we're talking about Versailles, talking about the epoch where when Louis XIV was the king of France, and some events that happened back then, like for example, "See You in Hell" is talking about the affair of poisons. Perhaps you're familiar with it, but I was
Yes.
at some point when he was king of France. At some point, there was a lot of poisoning going on in Paris, in Versailles. People dying by poisoning, and because it was simply the easiest way to get rid of someone who was, I don't know, taking your position, or being your enemy, or yeah, it was easier than using your blade, or whatever other way. So there was a lot of this going on, and for example, if you listen to the song "See You in Hell," it's about a woman who poisoned her lover. But if you go through the whole album, you can also um, forget about this concept and apply it to other events. For example, if you take infected monarchy, it's about the differences between the high and the low society, but it's totally something that also applies today. So we wanted to do something that makes people travel through time, like for example marching on Versailles. Clearly you can know you know that it's about this, but also that people can relate to these stories.
I love this. I love that. I mean, that's a really cool concept, and so it doesn't just take you to one place; it takes you to many different places.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting. And so, did you have particular parts in history that you wanted to base them off?
Yeah, well, obviously for this album, it was all about Versailles. I love this epoch, and I'm I love the just the idea of this beautiful place, beautiful ballroom with people dressed up and dancing and drinking and gambling and laughing, and this whole atmosphere. But I also see the other side of it, where you're close to the king, but you have to shine. You have to keep a certain standard, and you have to to prove yourself and to stay at your position. And you have this fear of being rejected and replaced and forgotten. And this was very much I don't know if this expression makes sense in English, but double-sided. Like, it was beautiful, but also painful. And on the other hand, you have the whole side of the, let's say, normal people, normal citizens of France, who were fighting just to put something on the table. And this is an epoch that marked. Um, I would say it marked me because I wrote the lyrics, but obviously we're all interested in it, in the band. And this is something that marked me, and I like to write about it.
That's a really cool concept because having listened to the album, I can hear a lot of that stuff, and you can hear it in the lyrics, and you can hear it in the tone of the music, in the direction of the music too.
Nice, thank you.
So, and you guys were gonna hit the road, right? But with all the things in the world going on, that was put on hold, correct?
This was heartbreaking when we got to know that the tour was actually not canceled, because we got to know today that it's postponed, and we will announce the new dates very soon. But when you feel like you have an album going out and the tour at the same time, happening at the same time, it's like the perfect promotion, and you're like,
Exactly.
yes, we'll just go for it 200%. And then this whole thing happened, and you kind of see it coming, but you don't want to believe it, because first it was like, in our part of the world, it was more like just Italy, and then it was getting worse in Italy, and then Austria, and then Germany. And I was also on tour with Rockets Classic, and first we were still rehearsing when we got to know that the Swiss show was cancelled. And we were like, okay, we really hope that the other shows remain, because we were basically playing in Switzerland and Germany. And when you have some security measures being taken, it's for the whole country. So if Germany, we were like, okay, if Germany takes the same measures as Switzerland, which was reducing the number of people being able to attend a public events to 1,000, if Germany does the same, we're done with the tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've been able to play 5 shows, and then one morning, we got a phone call from our tour manager asking us how we wanted to go back home. And it was shocking, because I mean, we knew that this might happen, but we were still expecting to play 1 or 2 shows. And then suddenly it was over. And then you're like, okay, for now the restrictions are at 1,000 people per event, and then it goes down to 500, and then it's 100, and you're like, okay, so I guess the tour is not happening.
Yeah.
But it was so heartbreaking.
especially since you had already been teased, and so you had already been out there and seeing the response and everything, and so you were starting to get that crest of the wave, and you were, and then all of a sudden it just broke through.
Yeah, and also because the first show you do, you're never at your best. So we were really, first show, second show, third show, you're like, yeah, we're rocking the stage right now.
Yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah.
super happy of what you're doing, and people are loving it, and then you get used to it, and you also socially it's terrible because you also get used to touring with the people, and you create some friendships, and then suddenly in the morning you have to say goodbye to everybody. This is horrible.
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm very sensitive with this, and it makes me cry.
No, I totally understand, and not only that, because it's not just your livelihood, but it's your passion. You know,
Yeah, it is.
it's something you're very
And
passionate about, and you want to share with the world.
yeah, and also it's for me it's very new that music is my job, because for a long time I've been doing it as a hobby, hoping that it would become my job. And I was working in an office, and I recently, like 1.5 years ago, took the decision to leave this and go most of the time with music or teaching or small jobs. And I recently got the opportunity to go full musician. And I was, at the beginning of the tour, I was like, wow, this is my job, and really proud of being able to do it. And then it was kind of the first experience I had as a full-time musician, like 100%, and it just ended. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was even harder.
Well, I mean, the good thing is you're not going anywhere, and the band's not going anywhere. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a little bump in the road, and you guys will just recover from it, and then you'll tear it up
Of
when
course,
the
we're lucky enough to live in the age of of digital platforms and social media and everything. So we still get to share our music with people, and for that, we're very grateful.
yeah. And so have you guys thought about doing anything like for your fans to in this time to do something different so that you can still give your fans what they want without.
Yeah, of course. At the moment we knew that the tour was threatened, we thought about a lot of solutions, and we found some. But at some point we were thinking about making a live stream concert, and and then the day after, I think we got to know that the borders were closed. So we're in three different countries. So
Yeah, yep.
obviously it's not that easy. But we have some ideas, and we will definitely promote the album as much as we can with another promotion plan than the original one.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the hard part that makes it tough is you've got these things and you have, but it makes things go differently. So you might come up with some totally new way that you go, oh wow, this is a very good way to promote an album. We never even thought of it.
Yeah, actually, we were thinking about a lot of things. For example, making one more video, or um, um, working more on our merchandising, so people can have some t-shirts, some nice shirts. We really thought about this because I love drawing, and you're actually the first person to who I'm telling it. But I was drawing some t-shirts and showing them to the band, and we thought, okay, we're gonna do something about this for the fans, for our friends who are supporting us, and do something special, especially now.
Yeah,
Do some, yeah. So
because it would be fun.
that's
I
it.
mean, I've seen some of the shows get canceled here in the United States, and I've thought, even though these shows are canceled, I'll bet there's some merchandise that's still sitting around waiting to get sold and probably won't get sold. But to me, it would be like a trophy to have a shirt from a show that was canceled. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Well, there's some bands trying to sell their shirts, because this is actually pretty terrible when you prepare a tour, especially when you're a European band preparing a tour in the US. You have a lot of things to prepare very much in advance, like the visa, the travel, the bus, the tour bus to finance, and at some point you create a tour shirt, and the tour doesn't happen. So I've seen, for example, Visions of Atlantis right now. They're selling their tour shirts, and it will actually help them to recover the loss from the tour. So it, yeah.
I bought one
It,
already. I bought one of theirs, and
oh, nice.
I bought an Insomnium one because Insomnium was supposed to be on tour, and
Yes,
I was just
but
like,
they only
and I,
played one show. Poor guys.
and so I bought a shirt. I was like, this is as cool of just having a shirt from a show that never happened. You know what I mean? It's I think it's and it's an honor to the band, and it's really cool to support the
Yeah,
bands in that way too. And I hope that everybody listening to this interview feels the same way and will support everybody, including you guys, and still support your music and support you guys because this is your livelihood.
yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope that all the bands who got some tours cancelled will recover the losses, because it's very hard to imagine how it is. I've seen some comments of people not understanding why they've done a crowdfunding campaign kind of. I think it was on Go Refound or something like this. And there's some people who don't understand. They're like, ah, but you have a record label. Where are they now? And no, this is this is not
No,
as
that's not how
easy.
it works.
No, that's not how it works. And I think a lot of people still don't imagine the loss that it creates when you have to pre-finance, for example, 1 month on the road with a tour bus. This is huge costs that
Yep.
you cannot recover, because you don't get the fees of the shows, you don't get the money from the merch, from the VIP sessions or whatever you're organizing. And but you still have those costs, because it's not the problems of the hotels or the bus company or whatever if you get thrown out of the country.
Yeah. It's your
And
problem.
they also have their own problems
Yeah,
with this
exactly.
thing. Yeah.
Exactly. So if things go good, you guys are going to continue. If things calm down, I should say, you guys are going to continue into the summer
Yeah.
and reschedule some things. And hope
Actually, we got some good news a few hours ago that the tour is completely rescheduled. So we
good,
will announce the tour the dates very soon. So yeah,
good.
it's great. It's great.
Well, that's good. Well, Melissa, it's been a great pleasure to talk to you, and I'm sorry that you guys' tour got postponed, but it sounds like it's back on schedule. Hopefully, considering the world calms down just a little bit, and
Yes. Well, thank you. It was very nice to talk to you.
yeah, and we will chat soon.
Of course, with great pleasure.